Hi, I'm Jake Trotter, and this is Barry Tramel. We're here on the final day of Media Days for the Big 12 Conference in Irving, Texas at the West End Hotel. Barry, today Texas was the big story. Colt McCoy, Mack Brown coming through. Thoughts on the Longhorns?
Well, Mack Brown comes in a little different than he did 3 or 4 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago, he would talk a lot about, everything's great if we can just fix the Oklahoma problem. He's fixed that. 3 out of 4, they've beaten the Sooners. So Texas program riding about as high as it's ever ridden. Had a national title in 2005. Could have played for one last year if the chips had fallen in the three-way tie. They didn't. But it looks like another loaded year for the Longhorns.
Seemed like Mack and his players really downplayed all the controversy last year with Oklahoma, the tiebreaker, and all the stuff that ensued with the flyovers and the asterisks and everything about that game. Is that the sense you got from Mack, that he really wants to move on to this season and get away from what was really an eventful offseason?
Yeah, and I got that same sense from Mack Brown. He also explained why he was so upset and fought so hard last December to try to get into that Big 12 title game. Said he was really just trying to take up for primarily his seniors that thought he thought they deserved to be in that game, and they would never get another chance. So I mean, any coach would do that, so you can understand that. But there didn't seem to be much lamentations or much looking back. Everything's looking forward, seemed to, and it should. This is a loaded Texas team. Colt McCoy's a fantastic player. Seems like he's been around forever. Coming back for one more year, and Texas has a lot of guys that can play big time football.
Texas wasn't the only school here today. We had a lot of colorful coaches from Texas Tech, Kansas State, and Colorado. What was your favorite Mike Leach quote today?
Mike Leach actually referred to himself as mainstream in plugging for a college football playoff. He said, "I didn't go into a cave and carve this stuff out." And he said, "Most people feel like I do." So I asked him. I said, "Little irony there, don't you think, Mike? You mainstream." But he's quite the character, and we had a nice chat, and he's got a ball team. You know, people forget he had 11 wins last year. I think someone asked Bob Stoops yesterday, hey, Mike Gundy. They asked Mike Gundy on Monday, hey, Mike, you think you can avoid the pitfalls that Texas Tech encountered last year? And Gundy sort of looked at him odd and said, I think they won 11 games. So, don't write off Texas Tech. That is a smooth sailing ship in Lubbock.
People forget with Graham Harrell, because he started 3 years, that they didn't have a new quarterback every year and still maintain a pretty incredible level of success. Bill Snyder, I thought, was pretty interesting today too, talking about what's changed from his when he coached before, between retirement and now. Says he has to use this BlackBerry thing to check recruiting services. What were your thoughts on Bill?
Well, he looks a lot the same, talks the same too. He's one of my all-time favorite coaches, not personality-wise, but for the job he's done. I think it's the greatest story in the history of college football, the way he turned around Kansas State. I just don't know if he can do it again. The program's not near as low as it was back in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s, but it's still a tough road. He's going to turn 70 in October. I don't know if he's got it in him to get Kansas State back to the title game.
It's going to take some time. They're not going to be able to instantly come back. Thanks, Barry. For Barry Tramel, I'm Jake Trotter. This is the final day of Big 12 Media Days. Thank you for watching News OK.